Egypt has always been shaped by water, from the Nile to modern megaprojects like the Suez Canal. One unrealized idea went even further, flooding the Qattara Depression to create a new inland sea. Though never built, the plan remains one of the boldest geoengineering visions ever conceived. A desert basin like no other. The Qattara Depression lies west of the Nile Delta, spanning nearly 20,000 square kilometers of harsh desert terrain. At its deepest point, the land sinks about 133 meters below sea level, making it one of the lowest places in Africa. From above, the depression appears as a pale, almost lunar landscape. Salt flats, sand dunes, dried lake beds, and sinkholes stretching to the horizon. Summer temperatures routinely exceed 45 degrees Celsius. Rainfall is virtually non-existent, and only small Bedouin communities have ever lived on its fringes. What makes this desolate region extraordinary is its geography. Unlike most deserts, the Qattara Depression sits close enough to the Mediterranean Sea that a man-made connection could allow seawater to flow into it naturally under gravity. Early geographers and engineers recognized that this combination, extreme depth, proximity to the coast, and intense heat, created a rare natural opportunity. Water flowing downhill into the basin would continuously evaporate under the desert sun, drawing in more seawater in a self-sustaining cycle. That simple physical process became the foundation of a remarkably ambitious idea. From scientific curiosity to national vision, interest in flooding the Qattara Depression grew steadily during the 20th century, especially after World War II. Egypt was searching for new energy sources and new ways to expand beyond the overcrowded Nile Valley. The success of large infrastructure projects such as the Aswan High Dam encouraged planners to think bigger, bolder, and further into the future. Unlike traditional dams, the Qattara proposal required no massive concrete barriers to hold back water. Nature had already done that work. The depression itself was a gigantic bowl ready to be filled. All engineers needed to do was carve a canal or tunnel from the Mediterranean coast to the basin's edge and let gravity do the rest. To many planners, this seemed not only feasible but elegant, an energy system powered by geography and sunlight rather than fossil fuels. Imagining an inland sea. At the heart of the proposal was a dramatic transformation of Egypt's western desert. Engineers envisioned a new inland sea stretching nearly 200 kilometers across, slowly filling the depression over time. A canal or series of tunnels, estimated at 60 to 80 kilometers long, would link the Mediterranean to the basin. Once opened, seawater would rush downward, creating powerful flows capable of driving hydroelectric turbines. Around this artificial coastline, planners imagined an entirely new landscape of human activity. Ports and fishing harbors would dot the shoreline. Roads and service corridors would trace the edges of the basin. Tourism developers dreamed of resort towns, marinas, and waterfront promenades rising where sand dunes once stood. In theory, increased humidity from the vast water surface might even soften the region's brutal climate, making limited agriculture possible in nearby areas. This was not just a power project. It was a vision of regional transformation. New cities, new industries, and a new relationship between Egypt and its desert interior. The engineering challenge. Turning this vision into reality, however, posed immense technical challenges. The first hurdle was choosing how to connect the sea to the desert. Some engineers favored an open canal carved directly through the sand and rock. This option promised lower costs and easier maintenance, but faced a major threat: shifting dunes that could gradually bury the channel. Others proposed deep underground tunnels, protected from surface conditions but far more complex and expensive to construct. Whichever route was chosen, the scale of excavation would have been staggering. Tens of millions of cubic meters of earth would need to be removed, often in unstable ground composed of salt crusts, gypsum layers, and soft sediments. Heavy machinery would struggle on sabkha surfaces that can behave like quicksand under pressure. Inside the depression itself, engineers would face additional hazards. Introducing large volumes of water could destabilize the ground, triggering sinkholes or uncontrolled erosion. Managing these risks would require advanced geotechnical stabilization, constant monitoring, and technologies that, at the time, were still in their infancy. Even today, such an undertaking would rank among the most complex construction projects ever attempted. Power from evaporation. What made the Katara project especially intriguing was its unconventional energy source. Unlike traditional hydropower, which depends on rivers and rainfall, this system relied on evaporation. The intense desert heat would cause enormous quantities of water to evaporate from the surface of the inland sea. As water disappeared into the atmosphere, more seawater would be pulled in through the canal to replace it. This constant inflow could spin turbines around the clock, potentially generating between 500 and 2,500 megawatts of electricity, comparable to a major hydroelectric complex. Supporters argued that this steady, renewable power could supply new industrial zones, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and even support large-scale desalination plants along the Mediterranean coast. In an era before climate change dominated global discussions, the idea of a massive renewable energy system powered by the sun and gravity was remarkably forward-thinking. Economic hopes and national ambition. Beyond engineering and energy, the project carried enormous economic and symbolic appeal. Developing the Qatar Depression would push growth far beyond the crowded Nile corridor, opening a new frontier for settlement and investment. Fishing, tourism, shipping, and energy production could create thousands of jobs and stimulate regional development. On a deeper level, the project represented a statement of national confidence. By reshaping an entire landscape, Egypt would demonstrate its ability to harness science and engineering on a planetary scale. For many supporters, the Qatar Depression project was not just about electricity or water, it was about redefining what the nation could achieve. Environmental and geological risks. Despite its promise, the project also raised serious concerns. One of the most pressing was groundwater salinization. Flooding the depression with seawater could contaminate underground aquifers across western Egypt, threatening water supplies relied upon by desert communities. There were also fears of salt storms. As water evaporated, salt would crystallize on exposed surfaces. Strong desert winds could lift these particles into the air, corroding infrastructure and affecting regions far beyond the basin itself. Climate impacts were even harder to predict. A massive new water body could alter wind patterns, increase humidity, and produce persistent fog. While some hoped for a cooler microclimate, others warned that disrupting such an extreme environment could have unintended consequences for fragile desert ecosystems. Geologically, the risks were equally daunting. Much of the depression consists of unstable sediments that could collapse or erode under new water pressure. Even maintaining control over the inflow might prove difficult if channels began to form unpredictably. These uncertainties ultimately weighed heavily against the project. Why the dream was set aside. As decades passed, the balance shifted. The estimated cost of the Katara Depression project, often cited at tens of billions of dollars, became harder to justify in light of its risks. At the same time, Egypt's development priorities evolved. Instead of reshaping entire landscapes, the country began focusing on projects that offered faster returns and clearer benefits. Massive investments flowed into solar and wind energy, including landmark installations near Aswan and along the Red Sea coast. Desalination plants, modern irrigation systems, and improved Nile water management addressed water security more directly and safely. Urban development shifted towards smart cities and digital infrastructure, exemplified by the construction of a new administrative capital east of Cairo. In this new context, the Katara project came to be seen as a bold but outdated vision, a product of an era when mega engineering seemed to offer simple answers to complex problems. A monument to human imagination. Today, the Katara Depression remains dry, silent, and largely untouched. No canal cuts through the desert. No inland sea shimmers under the sun. Yet the idea has not faded from history. It stands as one of the most audacious proposals ever conceived, a reminder of humanity's enduring desire to reshape the world on a grand scale. The Qattara Depression project may never be built, but its legacy endures as a powerful what if. It captures a moment when engineers and visionaries dared to imagine a new sea rising from the sands, and in doing so, revealed both the extraordinary potential and the profound responsibility that come with attempting to engineer the planet itself. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the boldest mega projects ever imagined, like and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support more videos about the hidden projects, unrealized visions, and world-changing ideas that rarely get told.